Hey everyone, my name is Rahul. In the last video, we had discussed about phylum Porifera. Now we will move on to the next phylum, which is phylum Cnidaria, also known as phylum Coelenterata. Now the name Cnidaria is given due to the presence of special type of cells called as cnidoblast or stinging cells. Talking about the general characteristics, germ layers, cnidarians or coelentrates, they are diploblastic. They are diploblastic. And mesoderm is not well developed. It is present as mesoglia. So mesoglia is present. Diploblastic with mesoglia. Symmetry. Coelentrates are radially symmetrical, or they exhibit radial symmetry. Coelom. Coelentrates are acoelomates. There is no body cavity which is lined by mesoderm, and level of organization is tissue level of body organization. Now talking about the habitat, all coelentrates are aquatic. And marine mostly marine. There are some freshwater forms also. Example, hydra is freshwater. Otherwise coelentrates are mostly marine. Body cavity, there is a body cavity which is not lined by mesoderm, which is why we say that coelentrates are acoelomates. Body cavity which is present, it is known as gastrocele. The body cavity which is present, it is known as gastrocele or gastrovascular cavity. Now the name Cnidaria is due to the presence of special type of cells called as stinging cells or cnidoblast. Stinging cells or cnidoblast, they are used for anchorage, defense, and for capture of prey, and can also be used for locomotion. Now this is what a stinging cell or a cnidoblast looks like. These are the parts of a cnidoblast. You need not go into detail of these parts, but what you need to remember is the cnidocyle. It is the sensory part. So whenever there is an organism nearby or something lands on the cnidocyle, the cnidoblast is activated. The operculum, which is the lid or the covering, it opens and this thread tubes come out, and it contains hypnotoxin which hypnotizes the prey. Next, in the coelentrates, there is the beginning of nervous system in the form of non-polar neurons. So in coelentrates, nervous system starts to form. Now digestion is both intracellular and extracellular. Intracellular digestion means that digestion takes place inside the cell, and extracellular digestion means that it takes place in the gastrovascular cavity. Now digestive system, it is incomplete. Which means there is a single opening which will act as both mouth and anus. Respiration is through general body surface. Now excretion, it is also through general body surface, and they mostly use a monotelic mode of excretion. That is, ammonia is excreted out dissolved in water. Now reproduction can be both asexual as well as sexual reproduction. Mostly there is external fertilization. External fertilization, which means the gametes will fuse outside the body to form zygote. And development may be direct or indirect. Indirect development means there is a presence of a larval stage. Direct development means that there is no larval stage. Now, coelentrates exhibit two types of body forms. First is known as a polyp and second is known as a medusa. Polyp is a sessile form. Polyp is a sessile form. Sessile means that it does not move. It is attached to a substratum. So this is the polyp form. It is attached to the substratum. It cannot move. Medusa form is free living form. Medusa form is free living form. It is motile. It can move. So this is the Medusa form. Now certain coelentrates such as Obelia exhibit a special characteristic called as metagenesis. Metagenesis is equivalent to alternation of generation which is seen in plants. In plants, as you know, there is alternation of generation between gametophyte and sporophyte stage. Similarly, in some coelentrates such as Obelia, there is alternation of generation between polyp form and medusa form. So polyp, it produces medusa, and medusa, it produces polyp. The difference here is that polyp produces medusa asexually and medusa produces polyp via sexual reproduction. So medusa produces polyp via sexual reproduction and polyp produces medusa via asexual reproduction. So there is alternation of generation between asexual and sexually reproducing life forms. Now how does the metagenesis takes place? Medusa, which is the sexually reproducing form, it will produce gametes. Gametes will fuse to form zygote. Zygote will develop into larva and larva will finally develop into polyp. Now polyp reproduces by asexual reproduction and form colonies. In the polyp there is development of bud. In polyp there is development of bud which is called as blastostyle. This bud detaches from the parent body and forms medusa. So medusa will form gametes which will develop into zygote. Zygote will develop into larva. Larva produces polyp. Polyp develops bud known as blastostyle which detaches from the parent plant and develops into medusa. So this is the sexual reproduction and this is asexual reproduction. Now based on dominance of polypoid or medusa form, Coelentrata is divided into three classes, namely Hydrozoa, Scyphizoa, and Anthrozoa. In Hydrozoa, we have examples such as Hydra, Obelia, also known as sea fir, Physalia, also known as Portuguese man of war, Porpita, and Millipora. In Scyphizoa, we have Aurelia, commonly known as jellyfish, and Rhizostoma. In class Anthrozoa, we have Gorgonia, which is also known as sea fan, or sometimes also called as horny coral. Adamsia, also known as sea anemone, Corallium, also known as red coral, Heliopora, also known as blue coral. In Madrepora, it has the maximum coral forming activity. Maximum coral forming activity is with Madrepora. So what exactly is a coral? Coral refers to hard exoskeletal calcium carbonate material which is secreted by some colonial polyps. So we have already discussed that polyps usually reside in colonies. So some colonies secrete hard material which leads to formation of big mountain-like structures which are known as coral reefs. These coral reefs harbor a lot of organisms and they can act as stable ecosystems. Such coral reefs can be found in Australia, Maldives, Fiji, etc. With this, we are done with phylum Coelenterata. See you in next video.